Welcome to Thrones and Scones. It is your weekday morning podcast where we talk Game of Thrones over breakfast, and that we can be inclusive. You can be a part of this. You can talk at us. We can't necessarily hear you, but if you want to Dora the Explorer this shit, don't let us stop you. Otherwise, it's Tony, Hans, and Jeremy talking with and or at you. Today hitting Season 2, Episode 4, Garden of Bones and Cinnamon. Oof. Garden of Bones and cinnamon.
It's like bone. That's some bone broth, a little cinnamon in there, little special morning. Yeah, little amino acids. That's nice.
Tale as old as time. We'll of course have to see what the tastes are bringing out of that scone later on today. But we've kind of just been reminding each other of this episode over the past few moments here, and of course to remind the people of this episode, we got to get at the wiki. Does somebody want to maybe explain what a wiki is, as I, once again, struggle to pull this thing up?
So for those of you who are not from the 20th century, what we figure out is that you can go on to the internet, write whatever the fuck you want as a fact, and then it's published that way. I mean, I find that just completely blow my mind, especially in medicine, how I'll like watch fellow colleagues look up shit and then comment on the wiki says that's what it is. And I'm like, you realize it's not even like any sort of evidence base. It's just some random guy's opinion, like Hans.
And maybe Hans wrote this one. Who knows? The plot for Season 2, Episode 4, Garden of Bones, is as follows. Joffrey punishes Sansa for Robb's victories, while Tyrion and Bronn scramble to temper the king's cruelty. Catelyn entreats Stannis and Renly to forego their ambitions and unite against the Lannisters. Frickin' English major wrote this one. Dany and her exhausted Khalasar arrive at the gates of Qarth, a prosperous city with strong walls and rulers who greet her outside them. Tyrion coerces a queen's man into being his eyes and ears. Thought that said queers man. Arya and Gendry are taken to Harrenhal, where their lives rest in the hands of the Mountain, Gregor Clegane. Davos must revert to his old ways and smuggle Melisandre into a secret cove. And then, in that cove, what she does with her secret cove, well, I guess we'll just have to get to that here momentarily. But Garden of Bones sets up a lot of big things here. I would like to come right out of the gate and say that this might just be the most boring episode yet.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It was late, and I was kind of just trying to push myself to watch another episode, so maybe that's part of it. But my notes are really scarce on this one. Again, we got some good character intros. We get introduced to Roose Bolton. Not that that means anything until later down the road. We get introduced to Lisa. Not that that means anything until down the road. And we see for the first time Harrenhal and Qarth. So we have a lot that should keep this episode moving, but it just seems so bleh.
Remind me who Lisa is?
Talisa is
Robb's.
the woman pining after Robb Stark's heart.
Gotcha.
I mean, but, it just continues themes, right? Robb is a good guy. Yeah, you should like him, right?
Right.
Tyrion is kind of figuring out being the hand, is making some moves. You get Tywin in this episode. You appreciate he has this kind of leader and kind of military background. You see that now a little more, especially when he talks about how he's surrounded by his council and they're like useless, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, you're only here because you're family. Otherwise, you'd be, cleaning the stables.
Yeah.
And then, we're watching Dany move, right? We're making her move so she can get a ship. But yeah, no, I feel like this really dragged on.
I think you are a little ahead of yourself as well.
Oh, really?
I think you're about an episode ahead of yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Never mind then. So clearly 4 was that bad.
But yeah, we're setting up all of this stuff to kind of go after it here. It just... Even my notes, the things that I found notable of this episode are kind of meh, which is a bummer because it starts with a pretty baller opening scene.
It does. I was
Robb Stark slaughtering some Lannisters in their camps while they piss themselves.
Yeah, and I think like we talk a lot about Robb and Pryor in the sense that where's he getting this military initiative from, right? Like, I mean, he is just making all the right decisions, the whole guerrilla warfare, and sending men only what he needs to do, and just picking apart these in these battles. And of course, he is honorable after the wars, as the Silent Sisters, I think that's what they're called. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Are walking around, helping all wounded. And of course, Robb is being said, hey, we can't take any more captives. We need to be killing them. They wouldn't spare your life. And he's like, yeah, but that's not me. And then she points out, like, well, if that's not you, why are you fighting? Because everyone wants the crown. And Robb's answer really is kind of like stunning, I think. He's like, well, I have no interest in that. I'm here for my family, essentially.
Is it ever, and this is getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, is it ever explained why Talisa's there? Because she's not a Silent Sister, but she is tending to the wounded, so I assume she's just a medic, but she is some sort of, like, highborn from Volantis. Just kind of seems like a weird, what's the opposite of an ex machina? Like a terrible, terrible idea plucked right into the fray. Into the fray. Because
Good.
Get it?
Good. Yeah. I don't think even, I mean, she tells the story, and I don't remember if this is in this episode. I think it's probably the next episode as well. So I'll just live in episode 5 now. Where she talks about her brother in the water drowning, and how she witnesses a slave saving them.
Yeah,
so,
that's like 4 episodes.
Is that 4? Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Get with it.
You know what? Season 3 is fantastic, guys. Okay, let's just hurry this along. Yep, I'm done. Let's go stare at my notes now.
You're good. Hans, what are your thoughts on this episode? It's a little slow. Are you feeling the same thing?
Yeah, I'm even torn on what to talk about for this episode, to be honest. So some of the, I guess, points that I had noted as notable points is really where I think we see a lot of Joffrey in this one, for better or for worse. I know he's aiming his crossbow at Sansa, going a little crazy there. This is Joffrey's kind of creepy sex scene that he's watching the prostitutes when Tyrion tries to do this thing for him, Yeah. And that just gets quickly out of hand.
Yeah. I mean, well, do you guys remember the first time that your uncles bought you prostitutes?
It didn't go like that for me. I don't know.
They just they were not interested in eating my scones at all. They had so many other things on their mind.
And he brings a crossbow into the bedroom as well, right? He has this thing with crossbows.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you're very correct.
It's the only wad he's interested in shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying, and like I'm having the same issue as Jammer right now. Every time I think of a scene, I don't even think it's from this episode. It's just stuff this episode had set up. So I guess we do get a little more of Arya and her whole her names thing. You start her actually like you start hearing her kind of almost chant those names before bed and stuff. And I've always thought that was kind of a cool
that
thing
is
about
my
the
favorite
show.
part of this episode, actually.
Yeah, so I like that a lot. I don't know. You see the Mountain again?
You do.
Different actor.
Mountain. Is it a different actor at this
Oh,
point?
actually, it might still be the same one. I'm still so used to the bodybuilder dude that every time I see anyone who's not him, I just get confused.
Yeah. He's I forgot that the Mountain talks him. Not even in this episode, a couple down the road, but like he's got some lines and he's going for it. And later down the road, he doesn't speak for various reasons.
I got a question for you guys. Being a pretty naive Game of Thrones watcher,
Sure.
during the torture scene in what is it called? Harrenhal, correct?
Yeah.
They're asking about the Brotherhood. Who is the Brotherhood?
Yes. So we have your naivety.
Yeah.
To quote Jeremy from a couple episodes back,
It's
here,
naivety, in case
Yeah,
you're
naivety.
gonna
Oh, I'm
quote
so
me
sorry. I
correctly.
can't even quote you correctly.
God.
I can only say real words here.
I mean, I got them out front still, because Merry Christmas. Jesus, Mary, the goats. Where the goats,
Right.
I have no idea.
They haven't touched on the Brotherhood in the show yet. I mean, we've seen them because we've been through the show. But as we're sitting right now, it's just kind of supposed to be these people who you don't know what they're talking about. But what they're referring to is Beric Dondarrion and Thoros of Myr and all those guys who are hanging out
So-
we will see way down the way. Of course, Arya runs into them, Melisandre runs into them, and that's where we see the Hound go toe-to-toe with Thoros.
Because they're supposed to be so I think it was Robb and Ned that were setting them up to kind of protect the Riverland people, right? Wasn't that the initial?
If I believe the story is, Beric Dondarrion was the guy that Ned sent off to go after the mountain.
Right.
After Jaime had fled the city and stuff, when Ned got stabbed. And so he sends Beric Dondarrion off. Robert, in the name of Robert dies, Ned dies, and Beric and all his men are out there with
Still
king's
following
orders
those
from a
orders,
king
yeah.
who doesn't exist against the current regime.
Yeah,
and
against
so
the
they-
Lannisters, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
who they're fighting, essentially.
Right, so they basically just kind of set up in the woods to take the dead king's justice into their own hands and harry the Lannisters in any way that they can. But yeah, as of right now, it's just kind of this mysterious force, and I guess we'll play dumb.
Yeah, that's kind of cool though. I like the mystery behind it. Then
It's a big, we get some good scenes in Harrenhal. As you said, we really get to see Joffrey being a dick. I think the other thing, and maybe this is why this episode falls a little flat, is because we just kind of know this doesn't pay off into much, is there's a lot of tension, quote unquote, building between Stannis and Renly. This is kind of the penultimate meeting of the two, which I have a question, and I wonder if you guys can come up with any reasoning for this. So Stannis and Renly meet on the field. They, it can be said one way or the other whether they're actually trying to dissuade from battle. But Catelyn Stark sure is, and she's there. She doesn't want them to fight. Why is she there? I can only see her being there being a detriment to her. Like, she's there obviously to try and court Renly's favor, but Ned was in favor of Stannis being the king, and Catelyn doesn't have anything against Stannis, so why she would show up with like the 6 people that are there with Renly Baratheon to try and negotiate it seems a little odd. I don't know why that's the case.
I almost think it makes Catelyn, it kind of sells that whole... She's known for making choices and actions before thinking things through completely. Like, she just goes with her gut. And I feel like that's continues, right? She's there. I mean, Renly definitely. I don't even think he's even thrilled that she's there. I mean, his thing is like, I'm on the throne, and I will support the Starks because they've supported me. But I don't really understand the long game. I agree with you. The actual decision itself doesn't make much sense.
And they haven't even agreed to the alliance yet. Like, that's in the next episode when they start to talk about it.
Yeah, which is where I'm living, so that's all.
Yeah.
I kind of
Fair enough.
And to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on that exact part right now. But if I'm thinking of the correct scene, I kind of took that as her trying to. I mean, I feel like Catelyn, almost like Jeremy said too, just seems to act a little bit without thinking sometimes, and also seems to think that she's going to be able to accomplish things much easier than they could possibly be accomplished. Because I took that scene as her kind of trying to get Stannis and Renly to, come to agreement, and just understanding that they're brothers, and saying that, why would you fight each other when we have a much worse enemy, and kind of start bringing that conversation up, with her ultimate goal, obviously, like uniting everyone against the Lannisters, and against Joffrey, technically still Baratheon, but more than anything, just trying to kind of stop that in its tracks. Not that I think she had any chance of doing so.
And by not doing so, she just kind of made sure that one potential enemy saw her aiding another potential enemy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it backfired on her. Again, not that it'll really matter, because this Renly and whatnot tension might just fade away. At the very end of the episode, we see Davos roll Melisandre into this nice little cave. Why? I don't know. But she was pregnant, and apparently that cave ripe for birthing, so long as what you're packing inside your uterus is a demon shadow baby birthed from a king, which, by the way, the gestational period
Oh my god, that's literally my next note. Jesus Christ.
shadow
that's like
baby.
the one thing I want to talk about, medical, is gestational time, right?
Hey, man. Those shadow babies, let me tell you.
Like, plant the seed, boom. 2 days later, baby.
Have you ever birthed a shadow baby?
No, but I'm going to ask some crazy midwives now and be like, hey, what's up with this?
Well, even then, shadow baby, I think just in general, lifespan must not be that long because shadow baby came out and then shadow baby basically became an adult immediately. So not much, not much youth for the shadow babies.
Well, I mean, when the baby was born, it looked more like a toddler, right? Like it came out with more of a crawling, screaming kind of thing. So
yeah, I don't think toddler's at all the word that I would use to describe that sort of crawling demon manifestation of death.
Toddler was demon toddler.
Yeah, there you go.
I like how he keeps his shit together as he's watching this. I'd be like, whoa, you're doing what? Whoa, I agreed to bring you here, not to birth shit here.
I mean, what is going through Davos' mind right now? It's like, well, oh my God, if that's coming out of that hole, what could possibly be a weight on the other side?
Can you imagine the conversation they had after it was birthed? Like, so what'd you name it? Like,
do you think that she ate the shadow placenta?
Yeah, she's like, what's it taste like?
That was the weirdest noise
chocolate.
I've ever heard. Oh my God. Oh, I got shudders here. But yeah, so that's the next kind of, I know we've been touching on all of the various magics since the dragons have returned to Westeros. These things are kind of spiraling out of control exponentially. But here it's pretty much established that, oh, hey, for whatever Popper's tricks Melisandre might be peddling to people, she can also use her vagina to create images of death, and that's a useful skill.
Yeah. When I just remember when the very first time I was watching Game of Thrones, and I saw this scene, the first thought in my mind when you see that she's pregnant, I was like, man, this show's timelines are very messed up. Because I was like, I already was kind of wondering like how all the the timelines worked, because I feel like some things, like we've been talking about a bunch of times already, they can traverse the entire Westeros in one episode, and then the next episode they take forever, like all this stuff. And then I see that and I'm like, man, did I miss something? Am I skipping episodes or something? But anyway, then I immediately realized that something else was going on.
You're like, baby. Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
But to take a quick step back, another scene that I thought was kind of cool and just plays to Tyrion's meddling and all that stuff, which I like. He has his conversation with Lancel, basically confronts Lancel about Bone and Cersei. Kind of
Lancel needed to get confronted. That dude was getting cocky quick.
Yeah. No pun intended, or pun intended?
Such a weak character in this show, in book.
No, for sure. He's got a very interesting... No, I can't even say it with a straight face. He's an idiot. I don't like Lancel. I never like Lancel because the only redeeming quality he has comes in the arc that we've already decided doesn't really make sense. It comes out of nowhere for derailing an entire season. Yeah. But for now, it's funny to watch Tyrion just whip the dude around.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I enjoy it. It's kind of this ruthlessness that we get to feel good about in the show when all this bad shit is happening to Sansa, just a sneeze later.
Yeah. Also, what's your guys' take on Sumai?
On Sumai?
In Qarth. The guy the guy invokes Sumai, and then it just kind of never explained exactly what that is.
I guess the gist of what they're going for is this dude pledges some sort of blood pact that Dany's not going to cause any trouble, and I guess it's on his head if she does. But it seemed like you could really get around a lot of rules with that shit.
Yeah. Can I just Sumai anything then?
I know. It's that just you didn't pay your taxes. Whoa! But I did Sumai this. Okay. Oh. All right.
You cannot cut me in line for the bathroom. Sumai, friend.
It's just a workaround to any rule or law.
I mean, we would probably use it more for that last scone, right?
I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also, maybe I would have paid more attention to Sumai and everything that happened in Qarth if we did not open up on Dany. And just for those who might need a refresher from the episode prior, here's what happened. Daenerys was told by her returning blood rider that, oh, hey, look, there's this place called Qarth. Maybe they'll let us in. And Daenerys does not know about this place. This is not a mute guy who comes back with a scroll. This is all an audible conversation that she hears. So she does not know that it starts with a Q. And even if she does, she already knows how to say it. She would not show up and say Qarth and get corrected like an idiot because she's never seen it spelled before.
Yeah. So
furious.
yeah, that was a weird moment. I actually didn't even think about that. That's a really good point.
I would have never brought that up, and that's awesome.
Well, I was in a very critical mood.
So I'll even transition us now because I think it'll work nicely to transition into my little topic question I have for you today.
Daddy.
Good, bad, in the Jugglies portion now. Were the only, if I'm not mistaken, the only Jugglies the Joffrey scene?
And Melisandre's pregnant titty.
Same
right,
Melisandre.
right.
I mean, that's where. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I wrote in after the fact because I kind of fell asleep in that scene. I had to rewatch it, but that's why. But yeah, we didn't get a whole lot. This season is starting to pull back on us from the good bad Jugglies perspective.
Yeah. It only gets worse, my friends.
Yeah. Was your topic?
Are we even
those the only boobs?
Are we going to be able to? No. I got another question.
Which I'm okay with. Let's all be honest.
Question,
topic.
Yeah.
The question is no, this isn't the question yet. A question is,
Sure.
will the good, bad, and Jugglies thrive in the later seasons?
Hard to say.
Are we going to have enough content? I don't know.
I will say, just to give a little preview that everyone should tune in, tomorrow, unless I'm mistaken, we are completely devoid of any juggly action.
All right. Well, anyway.
Now no one's going to listen to that episode.
Or are we?
I mean, I've already been talking about it, so they're all welcome.
Gotta build the suspense, Tony. Okay, but anyway, my question. I've kind of wondered this the first time I watched it too.
Yep.
And it's a yes or no question, but obviously, add your thoughts.
Sure.
Let's back it up a bit. So, do you think Game of Thrones takes Joffrey's character like a bit too far? Like, they already make us hate him, and they already make him be like, we already kind of know we already know he's a psychopath pretty much. And I mean, really, what is the purpose of having the whole scene where he's killing the prostitutes and stuff? I mean, do you think we needed to go that far? Do you think we needed to make him think he's that, or make us think he's that crazy? And what's the what's the purpose of that?
So if he takes being the king almost to like a god standpoint, right? Where whatever he wishes and desires will be. And so I think he takes any sort of situation where he feels like he's losing control as a threatening situation. And so his always his reaction, and I think they do a pretty good job of this, is to get control back, I'm going to hurt someone, some way, right? And of course, a lot of times it's telling someone to kill someone, or yelling and screaming that he wants, you defy me, I'll kill you, kind of thing. And so you have to realize that if that's that character, the imbalance is always there. I think it has to be. And I think that's done. I mean, I don't know. I found that scene boring and kind of a waste. But I mean, it really does play into the actual who he is as a person and where he's coming from when he's making these decisions. He doesn't care. He could give two flying fucks, right? He's like, you've offended me, I'm going to kill you. He starts to think, like we were talking in prior episode, of maybe he would kill Cersei. I think he would, actually. I think if he was actually put in that situation, he would do it.
I think that, I don't know if they take Joffrey too far. I definitely think they take him too fast.
Yes, I would
we
agree.
get this massive 180. I won't say 180. It's not like he was, ever this good egg. We see him in the first episode. He gives kind of this coy smile to Sansa, and after that, it's downhill. But it just goes so fast from when Ned dies to when he's just this awful, terrible. Like, he's already an absolute piece of shit, and we're 4 episodes after he became king. So it was just so very quick here. But I guess we're just missing that side of it. And that really goes to show like his true psychopathic tendencies. Even when we do get deeper into him, like with this prostitute scene, it's dark, it's weird, it's twisted. I kind of see Joffrey, and I know he came first, but it's something in hindsight I like to compare him to as let's take you back to a wonderful movie that I know both of you guys love, and that would be Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Oh my god.
Great movie. I don't care what you say. And there's a scene toward the end there before Kylo goes down to fight a holographic Luke Skywalker. Oh yeah, you didn't think you were getting Star Wars spoilers too, motherfuckers. And he's in this ship, and he's just screaming, "I kill and fire every gun, blah, 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 I want you to go down, blah, blah." And he's just throwing this tantrum, and everyone's kind of freaked out. And that's exactly what we get from Joffrey, this weird, unbalanced side. But then he never comes down from that weird high and has the Force hologram conversation with Rey. Again, not a perfect metaphor, but he's just... We get one side of Joffrey because I think there is one side of Joffrey, and it makes him seem like a cartoon.
Yeah, because I don't think where's the rational decisions, right? Like, I don't think you ever see them. I mean, and the Hand making all of these plans for protection for the city, always talking him down from the crazy. I mean, obviously we open up in this episode itself with like hurting his queen. And like telling, I can't remember the soldier he tells to like essentially beat the shit out of her, but leave the face. Yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
And I think that's kind of what made me, when I was watching this episode in particular. I mean, I think that scene is, pretty much the worst it gets. I'm thinking
for Joffrey.
I don't even know.
There is later in this season he just kills those hookers. So.
Oh, that's true. Oh, wait. So he hasn't done that. He didn't do that yet.
No, he has not done that.
This was
yet.
Just just all the weird, the belt and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the
okay,
belt
so
and
it does
fence
progress
post
a little
thing,
bit.
whatever the girl's holding.
Yeah. So I guess for me, it just seemed like kind of like you're saying, and it just, we only get the one side. And I think this show, and whether it's just because of time reason to constraints or they don't, obviously they want to keep everything contained in the episodes that they have, and it's a lot of episodes to me, and but they have so many characters and so many stories that I don't necessarily know if they always get a chance to develop the characters as much as they could or as much as they maybe should, because it sure feels like, one thing I will say about this episode is they really love to build up the characters that they want you to like right before something big happens, and they really want to build up the characters that they want you to hate right before something big happens, and then the rest of the characters they just kind of leave nebulous until they want to come back to them and really like make you love them or hate them again. And I feel like they really just, for Joffrey, and I think we're right in the middle of Joffrey's moment here, where they just hit the gas pedal and say like, make you hate him. And I don't think that's isolated to Joffrey. Like I said, I think they do this multiple times in this show, and it's just something I've noticed through watching it.
To touch on Jeremy's point, it does seem like they just kind of had kind of an arc for Joffrey, like knew he was going to be bad, and then just, as you said, hit the gas on it way early, because we did kind of see a little strategy from him prior to him being king. He's got that conversation with Cersei where he's talking about this one singular army that he would want to create, how he would handle this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, he's ruthless, but he's not an idiot. He's not just this kind of going about with reckless abandon, whereas now he very much is. And sure, he's a teenage king. Could he have just changed his mind and said, well, it's just more fun to have my, dog here beat up on this helpless young girl? Sure, we've all been there. I get it. The prospect is exciting, but it does. It could have been done a little bit more nuanced, perhaps.
Yeah, and I mean, let's not forget, dude was crying about Robert Baratheon's death not too long ago.
It's true. Still don't get that. Still don't get that. Well, it was an odd episode. Can't say it's the best, but it's Game of Thrones, so. It's still pretty dang solid. I wonder if that'll be akin to our scone review. Jeremy has the scone today. It is cinnamon, and it is from Kroger.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this. This scone calls out my name because if you've ever had like Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal, pretty amazing cereal, right?
I have actually had it,
Yeah.
and I look forward to what you're going to say
And it was
off
so
podcast.
good.
But I can't. We don't. Unfortunately, we're so much out of time right now. We're running late on this one. So Jeremy, thanks for that. If you guys want to hit up our social media, Thrones and Scones is where you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. ThronesandScones.com's got the link to everything, including however the hell you want to listen to us. We'll catch you tomorrow for a much better episode, Season 2, Episode 5, The Ghost of Harrenhal. You down with GOT?
Yeah, you know me. I actually am curious, Jeremy. How is the cinnamon scone?
Oh god, it
Please.
was so good. It was like essentially this one was more like a cinnamon roll in my opinion.
Okay,
No,
so it's more of a it's definitely more cinnamon sugar scone. We're talking very sweet, not that like
No,
kind of
but
bitter.
No.
cinnamon.
It was more bitter because it was
okay.
it was essentially just cinnamon, like just like throughout the entire scone. But then they did a cream cheese icing, which it's not sweet. So
You're breaking it for me.
See, no.
doesn't
It's
sound
not
good.
sweet? It
doesn't sound
sounds
good to me.
sweet.
But so no, cream cheese to me is more like tangy sweet. It's not like that sugary, it's tangy. Okay, it's delicious. I thought it was good. I mean, I still think the mini blueberry scones I had actually were stupid. Those were delicious.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had Tang, the drink?
Yes.
I do recall Tang,
Yeah, man. We should get some Tang on this episode
Whatever.
sometime.
I don't think they make Tang anymore.
Oh, I know they make Tang because Sheldon brought some up when he brought his kids up, and he was like,
Seriously?
"Do you remember this?" I'm like, "Are we gonna make some pizza and drink some Tang?"
You know, it's like a myth that was created for the astronauts.
Oh, I have no idea.
I
what
didn't
you're
even know
talking
the
about.
myth.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the myth, and it's a myth. Yeah. Also, Tang, that's a great idea. We should get some Tang for not this podcast, but if we're talking about doing something after this, we had that porn review idea. Poo Tang and Tang.
Tang and Tang.
But then we'll be in the situation where we'll be like, "This is Poo Tang and Tang, episode 165. We're still drinking Tang."
No, sorry, every
can't-
episode would be episode 69, just to clarify.
We can't even keep Jeremy contained with Game of Thrones. Can you imagine if we have this guy watching porn?
He's like, well, I'm already on video number 88 in our playlist on episode 2.
Did you guys
Like,
watch?
Jeremy, you need to work on your stamina, bud.
Let me be honest though, the whole scone thing has made my daily breakfast. Like, I used to like wake up and be like, oh, I don't know, I might gonna do like a bagel. Do I want to do like fresh fruit, yogurt? Now I'm like, oh great, I have another scone I need to eat.
It's right there already. I've entered into this. I think I kind of told you guys. I've entered into this like weight loss competition with some of my cousins, and there's money attached to it.
Ooh, that's
and we're a
good.
team. So if I don't lose the weight, my team doesn't win the money, and they lose the $70 that each one of them paid in. And now I have all of these fucking scones, and I keep looking them up. I'm like, scones are like out of all of the pastries, they got to be the best for you, and they're terrible for you.
Yeah.
It's all that lard.
Yeah. I like how you sign up for this weight loss endeavor, and immediately the next day you're basically like, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm starting a podcast about buttery baked goods.